afternoon, people. Scarface Spurs here, back with another one of these weekly live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. Today, I'm joined by three guests. Two of them are with me now. Firstly, Haz from the View from the South Stand TV. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show again, Harry. It's good to be back. As you know, it's been a bit sparse with pre-season, no football to watch. But tomorrow, hopefully, we're back with a bang. You know, pre-season officially starts. But yeah, no, it's good to be back on your show, Harry.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Let's hope so regarding Spurs with the game tomorrow. And it's great to have you back on. I think is your second time on the show, if I'm correct. So, yes, great to have you on once again. Yeah. And Travis on the show once again. I can't remember how many times now, but you've definitely been on a few times. Travis, how you doing?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Good to be back on the show, Harry. Thanks for having me on again. I think every podcast we've had's been really good. So, yeah, thoroughly enjoying what you're doing at the moment, Harry. And again, well done for what you do. It's massive for everything.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Very kind. It's glad to hear you enjoy it as well. Reminder, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. Free to do so and helps your channel grow. And if you like the stream, leave a like. If you are listening after on any podcast platform such as Spotify, please give us a follow and a 5-star review. That'd be massively appreciated. And keep your comments throughout tonight. We will bring them up. And I know thank you all for putting your questions forward this morning as well on Twitter. Yes, a big up to everyone in the chat already. I've already got a couple. Let's try and bring them up. Van Football Event says, big up Harry and panel. Thank you for tuning in. So let's crack into it, shall we? And ask the difficult question, what the show is mainly going to be about. And that is Harry Kane. I'm going to crack straight into it. I've got to ask difficult questions. Coming to you first, Haz. Will Harry Kane be a Tottenham Hotspur player come the 1st of September?
Well, that's the golden question, isn't it? Season after season, but more so this season because of his contract situation, really. Look, I was saying on another show the other day, you know, the variables, there's so many variables at the moment. Ultimately, he could decide to stay, see how we get on. I am going to answer your question, but I'm just going to give you some of the variables. He could decide to stay on and see how we get on and then decide what he wants to do in January, which I'm open to. He could, you know, may well ask for a transfer this season with Bayern sniffing around as well as a couple of other clubs, I'm assuming. Or, you know, you could talk to European clubs in January or you can run his contract down. But look, all the signs are that he's gone to pre-season. He's spoken to Ange. All the signs are that he's going to stay. I mean, I think he'll stay and he'll, you know, consider his options in January, see how we are, where we are in the league table. Are we in with a chance of winning a cup or, you know, anything else with the team and take it from there? So I think he will stay and assess his options in January, to be honest with you. You know, Bayern, I think, you know, they're trying to unsettle the player in some ways. But,
yeah,
you know, when the player travels all that way to Australia and then, you know, it's been done before. Players have travelled and then been sold. You have big players, but I think personally he'll stay. There's a lot in it for him still with Ange taking over. And yeah, for me, I think he stays.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome. He's here. Josh, how you
doing, guys? You're right. Sorry, I'm late. Just finished a Lionesses stream. The only time I'll ever wear a red top.
You're forgiven.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's good to have you back on the channel. You've been on a couple of times, I think, before, so it's great to have you on.
Thanks for having
me. Josh,
me.
just chuck you straight into it. The important question: will Harry Kane be a top Hotspur player come the 1st of September?
I don't know about you guys, right? But I think probably about 10 times a day I change my mind on this. I have a feeling Kane doesn't want to be here. That's what I gather from this is I think that Harry Kane wants to try something different. And it's a case of, you know, whoever it is, PSG, Bayern, whoever paying the money. However, my mind has since changed after these Uli Hoeneß comments, of which now, you know, there are fears within the Bayern camp that they may have scuppered this deal, they may have ruined this deal because, you know, those comments. I mean, it's, you know, you can tap up a player and you can tap up a player. Do you know what I mean? I think it was really, really disrespectful to Tottenham, really disrespectful to the player. and really disrespectful to Daniel Levy as well. And I think that, you know, even a player like Harry Kane now, you're putting his, you know, tying his hands behind his back because you're coming out and saying all of these things. And I'm sorry, there's no smoke without fire. Kane has obviously had conversations with them. I don't know how much of them were directly him or how much of them were his brother saying this is what the player wants. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's clear that there is a price tag. The club can come out and say there's no price tag. He's not for sale as much as they want. No player in football is priceless. There is always a price tag. And I cannot see a situation for the life of me where Daniel Levy risks losing the player on a free just because of trying to win mind games. I think it would be the most un-Levy thing ever to play that game. What I would say, though, and I think the point about January was a really good one. Kane might want to assess his options in January. He might want to see how the team is doing, how the team spirit is. And, it's also one of those things that he probably wants to give Ange a chance as well. He probably wants to see for himself, this is what Ange is like. This is what the feeling is in the dressing room. This is what the tour's been like, etc. And that will help. But, other than selling him this summer, which I think for 80 million plus, I think we've got to do, unfortunately. The only other option really would be to see if he could sign an extension on his deal with a release clause that activates next summer, or something along those lines, which again, I'm not sure Kane is going to sign it because we've been there before and he's refrained from signing. So that's the situation we find ourselves in, obviously. I just don't want this circus to rumble on anymore. I don't know about you guys, but I want Kane off. If he wants to go, get out the club. As much as he's been a legend and he owes us nothing now, I'm thinking about the team and I'm thinking about Ange and I'm thinking about where we go as a football club. We're not Harry Kane FC, we're Tottenham Hotspur Football Club,
Josh, what do you think about Kane's stance on it all? I mean, he hasn't come out and said anything. Do you reckon it's right of him not to say anything? Do you reckon, there's a reason why he's not said anything? He doesn't want to put the club in an awkward situation? But what do you think the reason is for that?
Bad management from his brother and from his father. Because I'm sorry, Uli Hoeneß has come out and said that Kane has said all of this stuff. Harry Kane has a duty to come out and say this is not true, or to be upfront and honest and say, yes, this is where we're at. I think he has we have, as a fan base, have got behind him for so many years, absolutely worship the ground that he walks on, given him support and love when the rest of the country was ridiculing him, especially after that penalty miss in the World Cup against France. Again, when he's had injuries, we've got behind him, and I think Daniel Levy as a chairman, everyone needs to be on the same wavelength here, right? There's every chance that Kane has told the club he wants to leave. There's a chance that he hasn't. I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall during some of these conversations. But, you can't leave these comments said and there not be anything that comes with it. You just keep quiet,
Yeah.
I think that he's doing himself a disservice in just letting it rumble on. And of course, you could say, oh, well, advantageously for Kane, keep yourself quiet, don't create a fuss, and maybe you'll get what you want, which is true, very true. But I think that it doesn't help when our club is trying to move on from what has been a really turbulent few years of chopping and changing managers, conflicting styles, awful football that makes you want to stick pins in your eyes. I think that now that we've got Ange in and we're going in a different direction, we need to know, and this needs to be resolved, because if Kane is going to go, we need to be acting as fast as possible, because what's going to happen? We're going to lose the ability to sign the absolute best players we can possibly get to replace him. what happens that you're left, and it would be the most Daniel Levy thing ever for this to rumble on. And a day or two before the window shuts, he goes. We end up with someone like Che Adams as our striker. And that sounds ridiculous to say, but that is genuinely where we could be if we don't act quickly enough. So, I think I want to see Tottenham identify their targets and just get the ball rolling straight away and actually buy the players before Kane is sold, if he is going to go. But, in terms of that behaviour, I think it's time that he, we're all expecting him to be the club captain if he does stay. So it's time to start acting like one. And, if these rumours are rubbish, say they're rubbish.
Yeah.
Because silence speaks volumes.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Josh. I think you're spot on there. Travis, the important question, will Harry Kane be a Tottenham Hotspur player come the 1st of September when the window slams shut?
We're talking about Harry Kane here. We're talking about the best striker in the world at the moment. That's not me being a biased Tottenham fan. He is the best striker in the world at the moment by quite a stretch. Just going by with what Josh has just said there. If we sell Harry Kane realistically, who do you replace with that? Do you know what I mean? Daniel Levy's not going to go out there and buy Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, someone of that level. I know we've got Richarlison, I know we've got Sonny, but they're not anywhere near. They're great players, but they're not anywhere near the caliber that what Harry Kane is. We bought Richarlison for 60 million. He scored, I think, 2 or 3 goals last season. And I think at the end of the day, if he wants to go, let him go. No player is bigger than the badge on that shirt. And I think I heard the other day that he could be offered 400 grand a week. But at the same time, Daniel Levy is a money man. He's not going to let Harry Kane go on a free next season. He's not going to do it because he will want 100 million plus euros wherever he goes, pounds, whatever it is, for Harry Kane. The man's all about money. You're not going to let Harry Kane go on a free. You're really not. And I think Harry Kane he's a professional footballer and he's so well conducted as a footballer that he doesn't spit his toys out the pram. He's not a Cristiano Ronaldo who says, "All right, sorry, I'm off. I'm going to play for PSG or Juventus or Real Madrid." But I think I don't know. I think we've just signed James Maddison for 40 million, right? What a bargain, by the way! Absolute bargain. It's either going to be him or Ward-Prowse would have signed as a creative midfielder. But I generally don't think Maddison would have signed if Harry Kane was going to walk out the door, because James Maddison is a replacement of Christian Eriksen that we've needed for about 6 years, 7 years, if not more. We've finally got him, and I think, again, I'm on the fence with Ange Postecoglou. He done great in the Scottish League. He won the league with Celtic, but again, the Premier League is a completely different animal to what the Scottish League is. But yeah, I think he will be a Tottenham player come September, January, whatever it is, and give him his 400 grand a week. I just can't see him leaving. Tottenham put all these pictures on Twitter of them training and having bonding time. He doesn't look like the sort of player that's literally about to go bye bye, I'm off. Yeah. But again, who knows? But I don't know. I think if he does leave, going what Southview's Coy's just said. Sorry, mate, can't remember your name. Sorry. Sorry, Has. Sorry. We need to dig deep and kind of think, if Harry Kane's going to leave, who do we realistically buy to take his place? You got to look at the likes of Mbappe, Haaland. I know he plays for City, but you've got to look up that league. But again, Daniel Levy, if we sign someone of that caliber, Daniel Levy is not going to pay the wages. He's not.
I'm going to be controversial, right? I don't think it is about that. And people will disagree, and that's fine. I think we need to get away from being that team of 2 individuals, Son and Kane. I want to see a team that is of a high quality, a squad that's of a high quality. And of course, Harry Kane is irreplaceable. Everyone knows that. And it goes without saying. But when I look at Arsenal, I look at that and I think, what a brilliant squad. When I look at Man City, I think, what a brilliant squad.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about one individual. Even Haaland, right? Haaland's had a nuts season, right? Harry Kane goes there. He scores the same number of goals. Of course, having a world-class striker and having all that money that, and you know, an owner that spends that money is brilliant. But the reality is that's not where we are as a football club. And I don't like it, but that is the reality. And for me, I'd much rather see that money reinvested in actually making our whole squad better, plugging the gaps where we have players that just simply aren't good enough, and then go into next season, go into next season with yes, we don't have, the best striker in the world, but what we do have is a far, far more competitive squad that will get goals from more places than just Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. That will get goals from centre-backs, goals from full-backs, goals from midfield, out wide.
Yeah.
More so often it's the situation where it's, Harry Kane's bailed us out again. Harry Kane's bailed us out again. We weren't good enough today, but at least we had Harry Kane. And I know you can tell, well, that's just being a world-class striker, but it's Harry Kane has stopped us from being at least a mid-table team, in my opinion. If the whole squad is better and you use that money and you invest it wisely, then maybe we think, actually, maybe there is life beyond Harry Kane, because we were a fantastic football club before Harry Kane burst onto the scene. Why can't we return back to that? It's only because we've got so used to seeing Harry Kane and his goals and everything that he's done for us that, and it's been, 10 years of it now. We've had a decade of Harry Kane just being unbelievable. But
we've never had a bad front two. I mean, even going back to the days of Dimitar Berbatov, Jermaine Defoe, Robbie Keane, we've never had a bad front two.
Buy another striker that's of a good quality that could potentially play up top with Richarlison, and we might have that partnership. I mean, do you remember when there was that phase where we had Crouch, Defoe, Keane, and Pavlyuchenko? That's four decent strikers, and I absolutely love Pav as well. Really decent strikers that you could call upon, and at any point they would score goals, they would chip in. I would much rather see us do that. Remember, we got top four then.
I think the other way you've got to look at it as well is it's the classic case of, if we come out and play our cards, show our cards to all the other clubs and stuff that we are selling Harry Kane, clubs then know we have that money. And I don't think we're at the stage now with no European football to be able to bargain, for players and stuff. We if they know the money's there, the price goes up. We're not in a situation where we can just put a bid in and the player will come to us. So not having European football has not helped as well. And I think personally, it could be another case of other clubs find that we've got the Harry Kane money. If a player was worth 40, they're now worth 50 or 60. And I just don't think we have that spending power this season or perhaps even next season. But, I agree with both of you. If his intentions are that he wants to leave, he should come out and say so. But it's not as easy as that. And I think, he owes us that much, he's saying, Josh. But, there's been numerous times where he's bailed us out so many times. Last season without his goals, we could have finished 14th in the league, and he didn't get that City move a couple of seasons back as well. So swings and roundabouts, if he's going to go, he goes with all of our, blessing. But if he stays, then we have to, work around him again. And in some ways that sort of hinders us from being able to move on as a club, into a new era, because he's going to have to move at some point, and we're going to have to build a team around other players at some point. If he's going to stay just for another season, are we going to build a team around Harry Kane again for one season? And then
stock drops as well.
Sorry?
His stock drops. And this is the thing with Son as well. We're getting to a point where both of them are of a certain age where what happens if you cling on to them because of what they've given you in the past, and you end up losing both on a free when you could have made 200 million out of them.
Yeah.
Or you could have made 150, 200 million out of them and rebuilt the team and prepared for that eventuality, because it's going to get to a point every player retires and every player will want a new challenge at some point. It's inevitable. Not everyone. I think gone are the days of the Ledley Kings in football, sadly. So I'd much rather see Tottenham be proactive and say, okay, well, we'll be prepared to let Kane go this window. We'll be prepared to let Son go in the following window. And we will prepare our transfer strategy around that as to how we actually build a squad that is more competitive and much better than the one that those two are playing in. Because you can do that if you're smart about it. But under Daniel Levy, I do worry about that. I worry who's in charge of these footballing decisions. Who is, when push comes to shove, who's the one that's actually making those big calls? Is it Daniel Levy? Because if it is, we could be in trouble.
This is the thing. I 100% agree with what you're saying there, Josh. And I think one of our biggest problems at the moment is our defence. We were supposed to get that Van der Ven from Wolfsburg. I can't remember how much for. Daniel Levy's slung the anchors on. That's it's gone quiet again. Our midfield is pretty much. We've got that man of Solomon on a free. What a signing! After watching his tutorials and stuff on YouTube, what an absolute baller! Yeah. He's like another Aaron Lennon back in his prime. Exactly what we need when you've got Kulusevski playing on the other side of wherever Solomon plays. But our biggest problem at the moment is our defence. Our best defender at the moment is Christian Romero. How Eric Dyer has been given another contract when he should have been gone 2, 3, 4 seasons ago. I don't know. I mean, Conte loved him. Like, what do these managers see in Eric Dyer?
Sorry to cut you up, but I just have to say it before I forget. I was on a forum the other day and I asked the same question: how is it that Dyer's still there, etc., etc.? And I got absolute pelters. And the reason apparently that he's still there is because he speaks 3 languages and he's a leader, and we have no one else like that in the team. So if that's the fault,
he's a footballer, not a translator.
Exactly. People are sort of trying to put 2 and 2 together. He's worked under 3 or 4 different managers now, foreign managers, and they all seem to play him in defence still. So, there's got to be something there that keeps drawing him back to Eric Dyer.
Yeah, just to jump onto that, for me, I think the reason Dyer's here is, you think about it, he stops us from signing a new centre-back. It's kind of like it helps. It's helping Levy in a way. He's there. We don't have to splash the cash for 1 or 2 centre-backs. Why Dyer's here? Because for him, it counts as a centre-back. That's someone who's been converted into a centre-back. Like you said, he speaks loads of different languages. I think it's more that he gets stuck in, he gives everything. And a manager like Mourinho and Conte, who want a team that gives 110%, Dyer will leave everything on the pitch, just doesn't have the quality. But moving back to Harry Kane, what worries me the most is that, like we've touched on this, the fact that he hasn't come down and shut down the rumours. We saw Son today came down and shut down the Saudi Arabia link, saying that if that was true, then I wouldn't be here. I'd be over there. So he immediately shut that down. And you always worry when a player goes silent that it's often true that they're not saying. I don't think Kane would ever come out and say that it was true. If it wasn't true, you would expect him to come out and shut down the rumours, which we've seen in lots of situations regarding Spurs in terms of trying to bring a player in or trying to get someone out. We've seen that in loads of different cases. So that does worry me. But I want to know what you all make of the latest tweet from Fabrizio Romano a few hours ago, saying Bayern CEO dressing on Harry Kane, saying it's no secret that we're very interested in Kane. Everything Uli Hosen said is correct, but it's best for us to stick with what Thomas Tuchel said: the grass doesn't grow faster when you pull it. Josh, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of self-awareness from Bayern Munich, by which they're saying, they're probably trying not to piss off Daniel Levy. They're trying to say, maybe they've jumped the gun a little bit without properly admitting it. I think they're talking in riddles a little bit. But look, they are confident that they're going to get the deal done. They still, why would they be this persistent if they didn't think they can get it done?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Bayern Munich is not one of the first, probably not even in the top 10 clubs I would have assumed that Kane would want to go to.
No.
yet all of this has come out. So, as I said before, no smoke without fire. I think that, whether Harry Kane's brother is getting involved and Harry is not saying things because he's being advised not to, at some point you'd think that this guy is experienced enough and mature enough to, be able to be upfront and honest about it. Suppose us as fans, we don't deserve to know per se. We're not owed knowing, because it's a private company and dealing with entities within a private company. We just care passionately about it. But yeah, I think Tuchel's probably calling for calm because he wants the player. But the damage may already be done.
Yeah, because everyone now knows that the Bayern are after Kane, so will Spurs, keep the price high? I just think it makes it a difficult potential competition. But also, we got news from Matt Law, it's in his Daily Telegraph football news correspondent, saying Harry Kane has no interest in joining PSG this summer. So, assumably that may rule PSG out of the race. And I can see Kane going to Bayern. Obviously, Bayern have got to pay that money, but for me, I hope we do what West Ham done with Rice in terms of don't let it drag on, get it done early and stick to the valuation of what you believe Kane's worth. I mean, West Ham throughout that whole saga kept the 105 million and they got it. Not only did they get it, but they got it done and they've now got time to spend that money or bring in a replacement if they want to. That's the way to do it. We mustn't let it drag on to the final few weeks or days or hours of the window. Not having in a replacement or not being able to spend the money, but we will get on to that. But I want to know, coming back to you, Haz, if you're Harry Kane, putting your Spurs bias to the side, what would you actually do right now?
Well, I'll be looking for, if I'm putting my Spurs bias to the side, then I'll be looking for a new challenge, if I'm being honest with you. I've spent 10 years at a club. Ultimately, yes, I've won personal accolades, bucket loads, everything there is to be won on an individual basis. I've got it. So the only thing that's really left is to have that winner's medal around his neck. So I'll be thinking, move on, try and win some silverware somewhere, Champions League football perhaps, because we're not going to be in the Champions League next season. And let's be honest, he'll have more of a chance of winning Champions League with Bayern Munich than Tottenham at the moment. We're simply not in any European competition. So, yeah, I would be thinking, I've got a year left on my contract. I'm going to walk if you don't negotiate with Bayern Munich and set my cards out on the table. Take it or leave it. You're either going to lose me on a free, or you sell me and get some money out of me. But it's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. Look, the board need to be, and big up Brian Dable in the chat, by the way. The board need to be clear and transparent about what's going on at the moment. The one thing that we called for from last season was to have a plan, to have a vision. I'm not so sure we still have a plan. We've changed managers. Supposedly we're going to be playing some attacking football, etc., etc. But we need to have a plan and vision in place. To do that, you need to start operating, in a timely fashion. If we are replacing him, we've left it too late, if I'm being honest with you, because we're on pre-season tour at the moment. You're talking about negotiations for our best player, one of the best players in the world, who's currently on tour pre-season in Australia. And it's not an easy deal to cut at the moment, not with Levy in charge. You're looking at probably mid-August, if anything, to get this sorted. And then we still need to try and find a new striker that's going to come in and take over. It's not going to happen. You're getting rid of 30 goals a season with someone who's probably going to come from overseas, untried, untested in the Premier League. It just lacks any sort of forward planning from the club. Once again, same with the defender situation as well. We're haggling over defenders at the moment. So it's the same thing. So look, if I'm Harry, I'll be saying, look, I'm off. I need a new challenge, or I would lay my cards on the table and say, this is what I want. I am the best player. I'm the best player at this club. Yeah. By a country mile. I've given you 10 years. If you don't sign these players, if you don't hit these targets, or if you don't make certain
if you
promises,
don't move those players on,
as much as they say, players don't have any power, some players do. It's as simple as that. We've seen it at other clubs. Harry would have the ultimate power at Spurs, to say, this is what I want, and I said it last week as well. Why can't there be a scenario where a contract is offered to Harry and Harry puts certain stipulations in there that need to be met by the time we hit January, and if we don't hit those targets, then he can go or speak to other clubs. It's as simple as that. But
weighs over the season, though. It
Sorry?
weighs over the season. You end up in this situation where midway through the season, when things get really important, and you get injuries, and the games come thick and fast around Christmas time, and that's the only thing that's because we know what the media's like. I know because I work in it. All they care about is the Harry Kane story. All they care about is unsettling Tottenham, unsettling the team, unsettling the players. It's all about Harry Kane. They make up stories about Harry Kane even when there isn't a story about Harry Kane, just to speculate, And whilst I think you make great points, and I agree, there's a deadline, and the deadline is before the first game of the season against Brentford. That is it. If you can't do it, you cannot sell him, or you can't.
you mustn't let it drag on.
You're stuck between a rock and a hard place, aren't you?
But the thing is, there's no, it comes back to the whole planning thing. Why wasn't the club knew that he was entering the final year of his contract? Okay. Why is there no forward planning? Why is there no sort of, we're interested in this player in the scenario where Harry wants to leave?
It's naivety, isn't it? They're convinced they can get him to sign, even though he's not going to. They're offering him £400,000 a week.
It's a massive gamble, massive gamble.
They're offering to make him the second highest paid player in the Premier League behind Erling Haaland.
Yeah, but I can understand the club taking the risk with a year left on Kane's contract. If we had European football, people sitting there going, I'd rather finish 8th over 7th. Even if we got into the Conference League, that is a form of European football, another trophy to try and win. And I don't think we'd be in this situation, or certainly talking in depth of the, Kane, will he leave? Just being in European football is absolutely criminal for Kane. But Travis, to bring you in on this, what would you do if you're Harry Kane?
Again, I'm going to put my Tottenham biased side aside, and I think if Daniel Levy come in and said, look, I'm going to offer you £400,000 a week, be the highest paid player in the team, bearing in mind the team we are now trying to build, I would probably see out my last year in my contracts. But again, on the other hand, you've got Daniel Levy, who would not let someone like, as I said before, let Harry Kane leave on a free. But again, I think Harry Kane is to kind of look and see what sort of team Angie's going to build around him. I think we're getting now what we've needed for years. Why it's taken so long to get there, I don't know. When we've had Poch, Mourinho, and Conte as our manager, it's painful, and you literally feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall when we're finally getting what we needed. So I don't know what the difference is between Ange Postecoglou and Antonio Conte. Where is the? I just can't understand it myself. But I think if Harry Kane left, I think the team have got so comfortable with having him in the team and kind of building their football around him. I think it would quite unsettle the team quite a fair bit. I think because as has said, as Josh has said, he's carried the team season in, season out. But on the other hand, as well, we've got no competitions this year. Harry Kane wants to win trophies. He wants to win medals. He wants to play in a team that want to win trophies, want to win medals. And I think as far as I'm concerned with Bayern Munich, they just have a massive ego because of who they are. But I think Daniel Levy needs to turn around and say to them, right, you can have Harry Kane, give us X, Y, Z, and you can have him. And I'm talking about top caliber players that play for Bayern Munich. That's what Daniel Levy needs to be saying to them for some kind of replacement, whether that's an attacking midfielder or a striker.
Yeah, just jump in on that. If I'm Harry Kane, you've got either, and this is Tottenham's stance on it, I think, as well, and rightly so. You know, it's now or never. You leave, look for a new challenge before it's too late in your career, and at approaching 30, or you commit to what will probably be the rest of your career at Spurs and sign that new deal. He's been, like you say, he's been at the club 10 years. You've got, for me, make that decision. You can't keep waiting an extra year. That time will run out. What matters most to him, winning a trophy, perhaps his boyhood club Spurs, breaking Shearer's record, winning trophies, whatever that may be, that's surely what will make his mind up. But to kind of wrap up the Harry Kane conversation, coming back to you, Josh, first. So let's say we get around about 100 million for Kane, or around about that. With what would you do with the money? Because the reason I'm asking this question is my opinion is quite unpopular, and I'll get to it. But would you still get a replacement, or would you put faith in Richarlison?
I don't think it's a case of just putting faith in Richarlison. I think for me, it's about, as I said before, it's about strengthening the whole squad. So for me, I think we've got, my fear is if we sell Kane, suddenly that's going to be the money that we use to get our centre-backs in. And then we may get one or two other players, and then we are left with just Richarlison. For me, I don't think we're going to get 100 million for Kane at all. It's not going to happen.
Really?
100 million euros, perhaps, at a push. We're lucky. Not a chance, 100 million pounds. We're talking 120 million euros. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but Bayern are not going to spend that money. The whole reason why I think we're seeing what's going on is because Bayern think they can win the mind games. Bayern are convinced that Levy will give in because he doesn't want to lose his best asset on a free.
I don't think Levy will give him.
But Levy loves the spreadsheet. And if you look at the spreadsheet, it didn't cost us anything to bring him in to the club, Kane. So
no, that is true, but Levy knows he's in a difficult situation with the fans. He was definitely before the manager was appointed. So he's got to get this right. It's massive, I think, for Levy more than anyone else.
100%. But
I think the safe option is cashing in. Cashing in is a safe option so you don't lose him on a free.
No, 100%. And if you're going to do that, then for me, you have to bring a striker in. My number one target was Lois Openda, who's just gone to Leipzig for 40 million euros.
Very good.
And my other top choice is Victor Osimhen, but you're not going to even entertain a conversation for less than 150 million. So, that's the fact. The thing that really frustrates me is we could have got Victor Osimhen if we let Kane go to City for 100 million. And a part of me actually thinks, well, if we're going to lose him on a cheaper this year, it would have been better to lose him to City then. And then we could have actually brought in a top striker and had more money to do so. Now, the prices for players are going up even more. We're talking about 60 million for Palhinha, who is a great player, don't get me wrong, but not 60 million. We're talking about Harry Kane going for potentially 40 million less than Declan Rice, if we were going to accept the bid that they've currently made, or 20 million, 30 million less than Declan Rice. It's ludicrous.
Yeah, and I hope the Spurs kind of stick to their valuation, wherever that may be, whether it's 120 million, 100 million. I personally think I don't think Bayern will pay that 120 million, but I think they get close to that because they know that they need the player. I think they hope the mind games. I reckon there'll be an agreement reached, which will be 100 million, including add-ons eventually, something like 95 with add-ons. But I can't see Levy giving in for under 100 million. It's got to be over, and I think Bayern will pay it. Personally, I think Bayern will pay it. But Haz, what would you do with the Kane money if we did get it and he went?
For me, we have to address the current issues we had from last season, which is the defence. 63 goals in the league. and that's not even counting the goals we conceded in other competitions, is just unacceptable for me. We have players that we need to desperately move on that aren't good enough to play for us at the back. That is the first thing I'll do. Address the issues at the back, bring in 2 defenders at least, keep Romero there. We're going, by all accounts, the general consensus is that we're going to be going to a back 4, 2 defenders, bring in 2, young, potentially fantastic defenders. Like, we're interested in Van der Ven, interested in Tapsoba. Bring both of them in, partner them alongside Romero. If we're going to keep Dyer, then keep Dyer. But personally, I wouldn't. But if he's going to stay there, then he has to be a backup, at most for me, because as much as, people are going on about his leadership skills and the fact that he can speak different languages, for me, he's very limited as a defender. So, look, that's the first thing I'll do. Address that situation. Perhaps look to bring in another striker, an out-and-out striker, a number 9. For me, Richarlison isn't really the answer. He's a player that sort of tends to drift in from the left, likes playing in that position rather than out-and-out number 9. Again, Sonny is the same. He's done a wonderful job for us a few seasons back when Harry Kane was out, but we had a different team back then. So, yeah, for me, I think it's imperative to sort out the defence and to bring in another, I'm not saying world-class because we probably need a huge amount of money for that, but we'd need to bring in another striker 100%. But the priority has to be the defence, because last season, the amount of goals that we shipped is just unacceptable. And also factor in, we are to be playing attacking football this season, and we're going to need some sort of quality in the defence, because especially with the offside rule now changing as well, the whole body's got to be offside, I believe. There's going to be a hell of a lot more goals in the Premier League. So that's the first thing I'll do, to be honest with you. We can't go back to what we did with the Bale money when we, sold him to Real Madrid. Ended up bringing in 7 players, of which only 2 we sort of kept.
Exactly.
Ericsson.
When he says looking at Jaheim Anderson from Palace, I'd take him for sure. He's definitely a player I would take. Temple places Lucas Moura is better than Harry Kane. I've never heard that before, but Lucas Moura is no longer at Kane. I won't discuss that, but fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. Big up to everyone in the chat. But we will be moving on shortly and getting on to the questions you put forward in the chat earlier and also on Twitter. While I've got all your attention, though, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. Free to do so, and it helps the channel and show grow. If you are listening on any other podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star review. That would be massively appreciated. Big up to Jay as well in the chat. He says, I hope we can keep Kane and spend 64 million on both Tapsoba and Van der Ven. If we sell Kane, then definitely can't rely on Richarlison. We need someone to replace Kane, but who are they and what are the options? Well, that is definitely limited options. Before we move on, what I will say is my unpopular opinion is, and I suppose this is a bit Daniel Levy-like, if you like, but if I got 100 million pounds or more in Harry Kane, I would cash in, play it safe. The thought of him going on free next season, I just don't think we can take that risk. After the stadium debt, the afterlog of COVID, cost of living crisis, it will affect the club somehow, especially with the new stadium. And I think not being inside Europe is going to hurt some way or the other down the line. So I think cash in on Kane, but I don't think we need a replacement. Not necessarily don't need. I'd rather spend the money on improving areas that we need to, such as the defence. That means Van der Ven and Tapsoba. That means Van der Ven, Tapsoba, and Adebayo or Anderson. We just need to prioritise that defence. Personally, I don't think you sign a 60 million striker in Richarlison just to sit on your bench. One thing I want to say before we move on: how many goals coming to you first is Richarlison scoring this season?
Okay, so if we're going by last season, no, let's not go there.
No.
Look, one thing you have to say is he was playing in a very different system under Antonio Conte. Very defensive. Allowing the opposition to have the ball. A lot of defensive work going in. I get the feeling under Ange, it's not going to be that sort of system. He may have a lot more freedom to do what he's actually there to do, and that is to score goals. For me, with Richarlison, I think he'll get somewhere between 10 to 12 goals next season if Harry Kane is still there. If he's not there, I would say somewhere between 15 to 16, being a bit optimistic. I don't think he'll reach 20 at Spurs. I just don't think. For me, Richarlison's first touch from what I saw last season was terrible, probably the worst in the whole team. His first touch was absolutely shocking for me for a £60 million player. Although, he showed moments of, brilliance here and there, it's just not good enough. And if he can fix that, then who knows? But look, he got somewhere between 10 to 15 for Everton in a really poor Everton team. So who knows? Under Angie's system with better players around him, I'm sure he can, up those numbers a bit. But he has to do more. He has to do more in a team. And like I said in the beginning, I don't think it helped him playing under that sort of system for Antonio Conte. And he himself sort of come out a couple of weeks ago and mentioned the fact that, he was scolded by Antonio Conte in front of everyone. So, look, we have to put it down to this. A clean slate, everyone starts again. Everyone's getting second chances or fifth chances by the looks of it. So let's see what happens. But I think anywhere between 12 to 15, optimistically.
Okay, fair enough. Travis, if you can hear me, how many goals is Richarlison scoring next season?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good?
Yeah, so it's just my camera's up the wall at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going back to what Has just said. He made a very valid point there, and I think Richarlison's first touch is absolutely horrific. But goal-wise, I think if Ange can get his hands on him, and he's going to start getting some decent crosses from James Maddison, and the midfield's going to be a bit better this year, I think he could start banging in goals for fun. But again, it all depends on obviously what sort of service he gets. Obviously, we was missing Rodrigo Bentancur for the majority of last season, so I think he was missed massively within that midfield. But yeah. I'm kind of hoping he does score a few more goals, obviously, but yeah, we just have to wait and see obviously what sort of football Ange Postecoglou wants to play with Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, how many goals is Richarlison getting this season before I give mine?
I love Richarlison, and I want to get behind him as much as possible. I want to see him deliver. I think these new offside rules are going to do him the world of good, because
yes,
like every time he's been offside, he'll now be onside. And thanks to that, I think somewhere in the region of about 10 to 15. 15, I think, is optimistic. I think 10 should be the aim for starters. But it depends if he's the main number 9 or not. And you raised the point, obviously, about what you would do with that Kane money, and I think this is what Levy wants. Levy wants us to say, oh, we'll spend that money on the defenders. We should have already budgeted for those defenders, irrespective of Harry Kane. Those should be taken care of regardless of what happens 100%. With Kane, because we need those players, even if Kane is at the club or not. So I don't want to go down that route at all. But, if Richarlison is the main number 9, maybe he can do 15 to 20. I'm not convinced yet, but I'm open-minded, and my arms are out open to Richarlison. I'm not going to call him names or get behind, get on his back, because I think he's a tremendous player. When I see him play in the Brazil shirt, I see a completely different striker, a completely different player, one that defenses can be fearful of. Remember, Conte played him right wing, left wing.
A couple of injuries as well.
in his
Yeah,
wife's
tough season.
handbag, anywhere, right? He was asked to do a job in some ridiculous places, in games where it made no sense to do that through injury. He's seen specialists to, resolve some of the problems he's faced. He had some unexplainable pain and some muscular issues that, even the club doctors couldn't put their finger on. So, he's feeling good. He looks, vibes in pre-season training.
Yeah.
What I would say though, look, you've got to build a team around him though. If you're going to make him the striker, if he's going to be the main striker, he needs players that are going to be able to, supply to him. He's going to have to get crosses in. Of course, Maddison's going to help. But yeah, I think overall you're going to need to bring in probably another progressive 8, an Eberiche Eze type player. I'd like to see someone like that come in for the Kane money.
Have we not got that in James Maddison, do you think?
Pardon?
Do you not think we've got that in James Maddison?
I think you do, but I think you can do with one more. I think you can do with 2 creative midfielders of top quality. And I think that as many supply lines as you can give to a player like Richarlison is as important as possible. His pressing is going to be good. He's got the pace. He's good in the air. So it's just whether he gets his chance. That's the thing, because Richarlison is too good a player to sit on the bench, in my view. But at the same time,
can I just add something? I think Josh has hit the nail on the head there. I think it's all well and good having James Maddison, but he was injury prone at Leicester. I think he missed a fair few games.
Yeah.
And I think if he gets injured, I think that's our midfield gone. I don't want to sound degrading or anything, or negative. I think if he's now our creative midfielder like Christian Eriksen was, And I think going back to Richarlison, I think also he's got that, excuse my French, that shithousery about him, that he will fall over in the box 6-7 times. He will get penalties 9 times out of 10. So again, that's a positive to Richarlison, as much as his touch is awful, and I don't think he's got too much pace about him. I think he has got a lot of other positive aspects as well, where he will get his penalties and upset teams. I can't wait for him to go at Arsenal next year. I'm absolutely buzzing for that.
I was just thinking though as well, actually, because I was talking about bringing in a progressive 8, or maybe we already have that player in Lo Celso, because Lo Celso is now, from what I understand, feeling a lot more settled in the squad now that there are a lot more Spanish-speaking players, the likes of, Porro and Romero is a national team, teammate. Richarlison, who can speak enough Spanish, Emerson, these types of players, they all seem to, all of the South Americans are good friends, right? Rodri as well. So Lo Celso, let's not forget, was going to that World Cup and was the player we'd be talking about instead of McAllister if he wasn't for that injury, and maybe a fit and fired up Lo Celso could be exactly what a player like Richarlison needs, because he's also got that shithousery, pardon my French as well. But what he is a very good technical player. He's got great distribution, great eye, and I think that a lot of people are writing that off. I wouldn't be surprised if both Ndombele and Lo Celso stay in, and maybe you do have your options. But, I think in that case, you still do need a striker, because then if Richarlison gets injured, what are you left with?
Yeah. And to kind of close this, what I will say is I think that I'll be happy with Richarlison, just because I think there's other areas that we can improve in. If we were in Europe, I think we can afford to take risks, like bring that player in before Kane. But just because we haven't finished outside of Europe, we've got a very compact squad. I think 32 or 33 now, and that midfield, all of a sudden, we've gone from 1 point last season with Højbjerg and Skip, with Sar on the bench to turn to Basuma, to Lo Celso, to Ndombele, to Maddison, to potentially Kulusevski coming inside. You got Sar, you got Skip, you got Højbjerg. There's loads of options in there. Probably some are going to be offloaded in Højbjerg and potentially Lo Celso. But I think Richarlison scores 17, 18 goals next season. I really think next season could be his team. I think he'd find a way, not first team, but I think he'd find his way. I think he'd get plenty of time in cup competitions, off the bench, and maybe a way he might be able to fit into the team. But moving on to the questions people put forward for the podcast earlier. So thank you all for your patience. It's been a good show. You all put forward this morning on Twitter. We go around. People don't know how it works. Go around one by one, each guest, and ask the questions that you put forward this morning. The first one I'm going to give to you, Josh. Barney says, if you could have any past Spurs player in their prime in the squad right now, who would it be? I know you saw this.
Super Jan Vertonghen. All day long. Technical ability. I mean, Ledley King's a good shout, but left centre back, let's sort that right out. Jan Vertonghen, technical ability, good at playing in a high press system, good at playing attacking system, can drive forward with those marauding runs, can, pick a pass on a sixpence, can score some goals. Brilliant reading of the game, timing of the tackle. Would have loved to see Romero and Vertonghen playing the same back line. So yeah, easy. Jan.
And Barney's response to that is good choice. So there you go. You satisfied someone. That's fantastic. I'm going to ask you the next question from Ray. I actually didn't see this one earlier. Do you think there's any real value in an excessive amount of attention to fitness in pre-season? I mean, of course, make sure the players are fit and ready, but last season they were pushed to the point of being sick. We did see that under Conte. Did this actually bring us any benefits at all during the season? So should we prioritise fitness or not?
Well, look, Conte's system demanded that they were fit because they chased the ball quite a lot, let's be honest. But Angie's system is all about, keeping the ball, keeping possession. Yes, obviously fitness does come down to it somewhat, but I think they just need to concentrate on, implementing his tactics and his philosophy more than anything else. Fitness is always going to be there. But yeah, certainly two different styles that sort of called for different levels of fitness. And I think you can see already the players are slightly more happier, shall I say, looking at pre-season this year compared to last season where they were run ragged. And some players just don't like that. But yeah, I think this season, should be concentrating more on tactics and how, because don't forget, we're transitioning from, that sort of counter attacking system to sort of possession based fluid football this season, one should imagine. So yeah, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, whether they're run ragged or not this season in pre-season. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. Travis, coming to you next. If Kane goes, who should we get as a replacement? This is Abnormal Tospa saying, I think Vlasic is best.
Yeah, that's a good comment, to be fair. I think is it Vlasic? He went to Juventus, didn't he, from Fiorentina last season? Was it Fiorentina he come from?
Yeah, Fiorentina.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good shout, to be fair. But again, that was all under Daniel Levy. He was there for the taking. Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about Harry Kane here, and I think it's very hard to kind of compare to who we have in the league at the moment, who is realistically out there, who we could buy. So, yeah, I think Vlasic would be a great signing. We should have signed him last year or the season before. But yeah, I don't know really. I think that there's so much potential out there but it all boils down to how much they're going to cost, their wages. We've had season upon season where we could have bought great players. Paulo Dybala we could have bought 3-4 seasons ago. Again, Daniel Levy wouldn't pay out because of the naming rights with Pepsi Max. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I've been so used to watching Harry Kane for such a long time now, and kind of, he kind of seen he's the best player in the world at the moment. So I don't know, but yeah, Vlasic would probably be a good signing. But again, he's only been at Juventus for what, two seasons.
Yeah,
two,
I think so,
maybe 3 seasons. Out
of the realms of impossibility because Juventus have forfeited European football for next season, so he's not going to be playing any European football. he's playing in a very defensive team at the moment at Juventus with
Which won't suit him, yeah.
Allegri. So, he came from Fiorentina where they were playing open, expansive football where, he was, free to express himself. He was getting into great positions. He had to do a lot more defensive work playing for Juventus under Allegri. So, players have been known to go for a season and get sold on, but it's not impossible, I would say.
My personal opinion is he goes to Man United. I think they're in desperate need for a number 9. I think he makes that move to the Premier League. I see him at United. Josh, coming back to you. Danny, who is an Arsenal fan, wants to know your Arsenal and Tottenham combined 11 on the spot right now.
In goal, Ramsdale. Right back, I'm going to go with Emerson Royale.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go Royale. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Then I'm going to go with Romero and Gabriel. Saliba gets the snub. I think Gabriel's actually the better defender. Zinchenko at left back. Then I'm going to go midfield. I'm going to go with Odegaard.
Yeah.
Partey, and maybe I'm going too offensive with this, but I'm going to go with Maddison. And then I'm going to go Saka on the right, Martinelli over Son, and Kane up top.
Okay, fair enough. Mine would be to just jump in because this is interesting. This Ramsdale in goal. I agree. I'd go with Emerson over Ben White for right back. Left back, Shinchenko and Davis. I think it's tight. I'm going with Davis, actually. I don't rate Shinchenko. Yeah. Back to, I'm going with Saliba and Romero. Midfield, I'm going with Rice, Odegaard, and Maddison. And front three, I'm going with Saka, Kane, and Son. So slightly different. Few changes. The main changes are in defence. For me,
that's bad. I've got the Rice to join them, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think I would put Rice in that team, actually. I'd go Rice, Odegaard, and
Maddison.
And Maddison, yeah.
That's got creativity and defensive options in there. So there you go. It's perfect.
I would have stuck Pascal Chimbonda in there as well, to be honest with you. I think he was absolutely great in his time. Absolute baller.
Well, Alistair Gold, you see, got slandered for saying that he'd keep both Dyer and Davis. Secretly, I would keep both as well.
I want whatever he's smoking, to be honest.
Huh?
I want whatever he's smoking, to be honest.
I love it. Hazza, come back to you for the next one. Bateman Talks Spurs says, who will be starting as striker come the first game of the season? Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick by what I said earlier on in the show. I think Harry stays. To be honest, I'm gonna say Harry Kane. But we'll see. We'll see from pre-season as well. Harry's definitely going to start for us pre-season up top. Depends, but I still see Harry Kane staying for the 1st of August. Oh, sorry. Is it 1st of August we start? 8th of August or 12th?
13th we play. Season starts on the 12th.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I still see him staying there if I'm being honest with you. So I'm going to stand by what I said earlier on in the show.
Okay. Fair enough. Travis, coming back to you. Byron says, what team do you think will surprise people the most this season and why?
Obviously, there's a few teams that have come up. I think Brentford are going to be up there this year. Going by their finish of the season, I think they're going to be a team to watch. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really comment on Chelsea because obviously Poch has gone there after saying that he would never join Chelsea. So he's completely gone way down in my likeness now. But yeah, I think there's going to be a few teams to watch this year. Yeah, I don't know really. It's Tottenham, obviously Tottenham Hotspur. Who knows?
Well, it is. It's not also like you say. You do just never know. Coming back to you, Josh. That Tottenham feed. Thank you for your comments. Says predicts Spurs is back for the starts against Brentford on the opening day, including new signings.
I'm genuinely. I'm sure we'll sign some defenders this summer, but I'm still so kind of on the fence. You just don't know.
How many do we need? Centre backs.
3.
Really?
3 in my opinion. Yeah, I think we need 3 centre backs, and I think we need to get Dyer and Davis out. Obviously, Dyer's going to stay, so Dyer then becomes maybe 5th choice centre back, 6th choice centre back.
For me,
I think it's interesting because it seems like Ange really likes Tanganga, which is, I think is both exciting and also scary at the same time, because I really like Tanganga, but it's just not worked out with injuries. He's had a lot of bad luck, but if Ange can unlock his potential, then that's amazing. Still no substitute for a centre-back. I think Van der Ven, I still expect to get that done. And I still think Clement Longley is going to come into the club. So I'm going to be bold and predict it's going to be Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and Reguilon. I'm going to go with that. Because I have a feeling that even though I would personally start Emerson, I have a feeling that he will probably choose to go with one attacking option and one slightly less. So, for example, Emerson might play an Udogie at the same time. But if he goes with Reguilon, he might go with Porro. I think we may start to see that, because what will happen is you end up in a situation where, you have 2 fullbacks that are too attacking, and that's a big risk if you don't have a proper 6 that's going to cover for that. I've just seen that comment actually about the back 3. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I just don't see it. Ange has never played a back 3.
Why would you change what's gone well? That's the thing.
Yeah, can't see it happening. We're not going to play with wing backs like we did under Conte. He's always played a back 4. I can't see him changing that. And even I don't know if you guys have seen the starting lineups for the in-training game today.
Yeah.
Go on, if you know it, go for it.
Yeah. Let me just get them up quickly. It was back 4s though. It was back 4s. So I think either way, that's what we're going with. And he went with Porro, Reguilon, Tanganga, and Romero in the back 4 in the first team. That also had Basuma, Ndombele, Maddison, Kane, Kulusevski, Son, against a team that was, off the top of my head, Whiteman in goal, Udogie, Emerson, Harvey White, and someone else I can't remember. And then
he's already got this idea in his head of the team that he thinks that first team. I think it'll be very similar to the team that starts against Brentford. In his head, that's he thinks is the best team. Bringing up,
back 4, Harry. Alistair Gold mentioned that the coaches were working on a back 4 of Jed Spence, Eric Dyer, Joe Rodon, and Harvey White.
Yeah, that was the team too. That was the second team.
Yeah, Alfie Whiteman in goal. Yeah,
let's hope that's not the first team. With all due respect, let's hope that's not the first team against Brentford. Bateman Talk Spurs saying what we're predicting for tomorrow's pre-season game against West Ham. Just going to come on to it. So, Josh, what do you think the score's going to be? West Ham tomorrow, first pre-season game.
Could be anything because it's pre-season. I don't think it's going to be particularly fun to watch. I think it's going to be better than it was under Conte, but I think it's going to be very, very bitty. Going to be a lot of sideways and backwards, probably still a lot of first little bits and pieces coming together. So it's not expecting a finished article. I'm going to go with Tottenham to win 3-2.
Wow. Okay, fair enough. Has
tomorrow's game. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be itty bitty sort of thing, backwards passing, because from what we know, Ange is not a big fan of passing the ball backwards, as we've seen previous clips with Celtic. He's going to want to, progress the ball forward. And I think we'll come away with a 2-1 win, to be honest with you. I think we'll just have too much firepower. But yeah, I would say 2-1 win against West Ham.
Okay,
West Ham are awful.
West Ham are awful. There you go. But what I don't get is how can you be massive and be in a relegation battle? I mean, sorry, any West Ham fans in here, but I've never heard of that before. Travis, what do you reckon the score will be tomorrow?
Well, let's just face it, shall we? It's not a pre-season game for West Ham. It's the FA Cup final, so I don't know really. Probably I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham, 4-1 Tottenham. But I think it'll be interesting to see the midfield. I think that's probably the main thing that I'm interested in watching, to be fair, and how the midfield kind of clicks. Obviously with Ndombele back and Lo Celso back, and obviously now we've got James Maddison. So I'm really interested to see on how Ange works that midfield and how many times the ball goes forward rather than backwards. What sort of defence he puts out. That's my two main concerns: is the midfield and obviously the defence. The attacking is the attacking, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what sort of rotation he plays and what sort of system he plays, and obviously kind of sees what sort of football we're going to be playing next season. Obviously, I know it's a pre-season friendly and it's a bit different, but I think we will get a bit of a gist to what sort of football we're expected to see next season.
Let's hope so. Big up to my good friend Ben, who I've known for a long time, actually, for that question and for tuning in. And also, he's just started a new channel called Bateman Talks Tottenham. So for the Spurs community to go over and subscribe. I've had Ben on the channel many times, seen him in the stadium many times. I've known him for many years, actually, now. It's gone very quickly. I'm sure Ben can relate. So it's great to see him start his own channel. He's definitely clearly for him. He's excellent every time he comes on. So I'm absolutely delighted, and I hope it goes really well for you, Ben. I'm excited getting on the channel at some point. But to wrap it up, because we must talk about it, because it's such a, it's such a topic that needs to be discussed. It's very, very important. And that is Dele Alli's interview with the overlap with Gary Neville, which was a few days ago now, last week. Just firstly, for me, it must have taken real bravery, real guts, real courage to do what Dele did, and I think he's inspired many and helped many. What he's done it's not easy to speak about difficulties of that such level as well. And I hope people use this like as learning experience to kind of not judge someone because you don't know what's happening in their personal life or what's happening inside. So I think this explains a lot. And you got people, on I won't name, but on live radio at the time slagging off, saying that he's a waste of our time. He's a waste of TV time. So hopefully people, it's a learning experience. So Josh, what did you make of that interview?
Yeah, really emotional. Absolutely harrowing, story really, or collection of anecdotes from his past that I don't think anyone can imagine going through unless they've been through anything similar. I think it does explain a lot. Absolutely does explain a lot. And he's been in this negative, vicious cycle. And, I think, Barney's comment is spot on. I feel absolutely inspired by him. And, it almost makes you want us to pick up the phone and try and get him back to Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? And bring him home so he can, and do the job. I think this is a massive weight off his chest, probably, because I know that there was some pretty nasty tabs after him, journalists about to expose his story if he didn't come out. So it's sad that he was forced to do it. But I thought Gary Neville was superb in the way that he conducted.
Oh, he handled it so well.
But actually, look at the pictures of him returning to Everton training. And the love and support that he's got from players past and present, his Everton teammates, the football club there, he looks happy and smiling again, and that's always a good sign. So all I can say is, incredibly brave, incredibly inspiring, and I really hope it encourages others to speak out about, their experiences, their struggles with their mental health, and if they've got a troubled past, or there are things that they've bottled up, to feel comfortable enough to share that with your friends and family, or the people around you. And all I can say is I wish him the absolute best of luck for next season. I want to see him be an absolute world beater next season.
Yeah.
I want to see him knock on that door for the England squad again, even if he's not able to do that in a Tottenham shirt for the rest of his career. Doesn't matter really. He was great for us for a number of years and gave us a lot of happy memories. And I don't think any individual should have to go through what he's gone through. And I think it's a timely reminder that maybe, we could all be a little bit more cautious to think about what we say about individuals, particularly footballers. I equally don't think that means that we can't hold people accountable and call people not very good if we don't think they're very good. But, I think some of the vile abuse that certain individuals or fans will give to players, they're human at the end of the day. And just because you have money does not mean that you're happy. So, absolutely inspiring and testament to his character that he was able to speak so well about it and do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Josh, actually. Travis, what did you make of the emotional and powerful interview of Dele Alli with Gary Neville for the overlap last week?
First, I want to say, Harry, I'm really grateful that you've actually brought this up because, as you know, I'm very, very passionate about mental health because I'm a welfare ambassador for my workplace where I work. So obviously, I help people within the workplace with their own mental health, and obviously, I've got a lot of personal experience with it myself. I think it's absolutely huge that Dele Alli's been so outspoken about his past with mental health and obviously dealing with it. But I think what annoys me more than anything. And Josh, and obviously you are a journalist yourself, so please don't take any of this personally. But I think with what Dele Alli has said, I think there's going to be so much rubbish made up about Dele Alli because they just want to get a story out there about mental health, and obviously, and they like to make things up as they kind of go along. But I think mental health within sport is being spoken about a lot more now. And it's been spoken about a lot more in general. And I've always said, whether you're male or female, there's absolutely nothing wrong with speaking about your emotions. And going back to what Josh said, no matter how much money you've got, money does not create happiness. Money is the root of all evil. It makes the world go around. The list is endless. I could go on forever. But I think it's raising more awareness about mental health and how it affects individuals on a day-to-day basis. And I'm so passionate about this sort of thing, and that's why myself I help people with their struggles and kind of direct them in the right direction that they need to get professional help. I've always said, talking about your mental health and what you're going through in your head is the biggest step you'll ever take when taking on depression, anxiety, or whatever mental health illness it may be, because it is an illness. But talking about it is and just getting it out there is huge, and I just think you can just see in the video, I mean, obviously there was a video, obviously Gary Neville welling up, and you never know what somebody is going through, and that's why I've always said, just be kind, with whatever it is that you suffer with. You never ever know what somebody is going through, and if you can be a listening ear, then that is half the battle. It's a very hard thing to understand mental health because you can't see it. It's not visible. It's not like you've got a broken leg and you've got a bandage around your leg and say, oh, so and so's broke his leg. You cannot see mental health, and it hits you like a ton of bricks. So I think Dele Alli, I'd love to see him back at Tottenham. Back in his prime, he's probably one of the best midfielders we have ever had. What's his name? Who obviously brought him through the ranks. Andre Poch and Andre Villas-Boas, brought him through the ranks, and what a phenomenal player he was, and I think he's been dug out so much by different people and had so much thrown at him. No wonder his mental health has deteriorated and got to the place where it is now. But I think these people that create stories about these people, their mental health, need to be very, very careful, because they're not only going to affect their own livelihoods, they're going to affect that person's even more with these stories that are made up, and the radio and places like such a, I don't want to sound derogatory, but there's such a dangerous place to be now. Social media is such a dangerous place to be now. I mean, I could go on forever, Harry. I really could, about mental health.
Yeah.
But absolutely fair play to Dele Alli for talking about what he's going through and raising awareness within the sport. I've got huge respect for that.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Travis. It's good to hear coming from you. I know we've spoken about it many times before, how much it means to you. So I really wanted to hear your opinion tonight on that. So thank you very, very much for that little piece there. What do you make of the Dele Alli interview? Do you kind of agree with what Travis and Josh have said?
Yeah, 100% agree with everything Josh and Travis have said. They've summed it up perfectly, to be honest. They've covered everything I pretty much wanted to say. So, guys, it's a massive thing, especially for someone who's in the limelight, someone like Dele Alli, who's come out. It is incredibly brave. It's and inspiring, because whatever he says will be amplified 100 times more than anyone else who may be suffering from mental health issues, because he's in the limelight. So it's incredibly brave of him to come out, and you can tell the drop off from such a fantastic player who was winning PFA Young Player of the Year award year after year, in the England team, doing crazy stuff on the football pitch, playing in Champions League finals, and for him to drop off in the manner that he did just didn't seem right, and I think social media today is a very dangerous place. It has the ability to build someone up, and it has the ability to bring someone down, and to some, to their demise, as we've seen in the past. So I think it's absolutely brave of him to come out, that he's reaching out. He's hopefully getting the help that he needs. It's incredibly sad to hear what he had to go through, what he had to endure. But, hearing that makes you think how many more there are out there who've suffered similar things, And if that can encourage more and more people to come out, if that can encourage not only in football, but in every walk of life, for someone to come out and say, I need help, something's not right, then what he's done is fantastic in that respect. Not quite the same thing, but I've suffered from anxiety for years. I've had help with that. I've had mental health issues previously, and all I can say is there is a stigma attached, especially around men who are afraid to come out because it's not a manly thing to do, which is insane. It's absolute rubbish. It shouldn't be the case. If you need help, you need help. And all I would say is ask someone, are you okay? If something doesn't seem right, just listen. Just listen to someone. Be that ear for someone to listen to. Be that presence there. Be someone that they can go to, or someone that they could ask for help. All I can say is on Dele Alli, I hope he gets back to where he was, or that sort of level. He's 27 years old. He's still got plenty of time to pick his career back up. He's at Everton at the moment. Hopefully they will give him the support that he needs, but he's still a young man. He's still got time to turn it around, and that football ability doesn't go. It doesn't go. Hopefully this is a whole load of stuff off his chest now that he can get help for, and he can concentrate on the football side of things. But no, to sum it up, incredibly brave, incredibly moving, and I for one hope that other people come out as well, and and talk about any problems that they have, or if they're suffering, don't suffer in silence, please. If anyone's watching this, don't suffer in silence. Come out and get the help that you need. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's okay not to be okay. That's my take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Hassan. Well said, each and every one of you. Travis, Josh, and Hassan, everyone in the chat, I think, are putting it perfectly as well. I think this is a good note as well to end on. It is something that obviously, it matters. It needs to be talked about, and everything. This is something that I think we can all agree on. With Spurs, there's so many things that we can agree and disagree on, but overall, the more important things, such as mental health, and like with this Delhi situation, we can all agree, wish him all the best and best of luck to him. I'm going to end with Barney's comment because I like it, saying so true. Great words, I completely agree. Before we go though, thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for tuning in. Firstly, Josh, thank you for coming on once again. Where can people find you?
At Josh Hughes TV on Twitter. I might not tweet things that everyone enjoys. I like to throw things out there, ask a lot of questions, play devil's advocate. But yeah, you can find me there. If you like fun kind of debates about Tottenham, I can go down a wormhole with that for hours and hours. So feel free to give me a follow and I'll try and follow back. Also Mailsport at Mailsport. Completely understand the point that Travis made about journalists. I don't think it's necessarily all journalists. I think it's, also there's a dangerous precedent set of a mistrust of journalism more generally, and working in that environment, I can assure you that the vast majority of people are very well-meaning people that want to report facts and report information
wrong.
The benefit of people. But of course, with anything like that, you get people that abuse their power, and certainly echo the words of Travis in condemning those that have looked to deliberately try and bring those individuals down, for sure. But at Josh Hughes TV or at Mailsport.
Thank you very much for coming on once again.
Thanks
Josh,
for having me.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure. Has as well. Also, I think along with Josh, potentially your second time on the show. Thank you for coming on. I hope you enjoyed that. Where can people find you? For people who don't know, talk to me about View from the South Stand TV.
Yeah, sure. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be on your channel as always, Harry. Hopefully, I can come back on again next time. But, so I want to say also make sure you get over to Josh's channel as well on Josh Hughes TV. And make sure you follow him. Basically, we are from A View from the South Stand. There's three of us, myself, Marlon, and Ashmatic. And we're just pure Tottenham. Ashmatic is the newest member. He talks about players, gives us a breakdown of tactics and player profiles. Is absolutely fantastic. And myself and Marlon, we host the shows. So we're back on tomorrow night, 9:15. Where we have a transfer and gossip roundup with Ashmatic. And tomorrow night, he'll be talking about Anderson, Kolo Muani, and Ramos as potential targets for Tottenham and giving us a breakdown on those players. So make sure you get over to the channel tomorrow night at 9:15.
Yeah.
And then we have a brand new show on Thursday with myself at 8:30, I believe, which will be the rival show. That's just all about bringing fans from other clubs onto the show just to get their perspective and, just light-hearted banter, I suppose. But we're kicking off the show with an Arsenal fan on Thursday night, which will be called the North London Derby edition. So make sure you get over to that. We are A View from the South Stand. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And come and have a look. If you like what you see, give us a like, subscribe, and give us a follow. 100%.
Sounds very good. Thank you, Haz, for coming on. And don't forget to check both Haz and Josh out. And finally, last but not least, Travis, thank you for coming on once again. I know you had that problem with your camera, but appreciate you battling through it. I don't know if I could do the same. I think it would really annoy me if I had a problem with my camera. Where can people find you for people who don't know?
So I'm on Twitter at officialcaster. I'm also on Instagram as TC1_1. Again, as always, Harry, the show's been absolutely superb tonight. I can't thank you enough for obviously getting onto the subjects about mental health. I mean, what you do on Twitter is just absolutely superb. I can't praise you enough for that. Josh, I never want to see you in a red shirt ever again.
Even England, no, change it to the Tottenham one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a great selection of trainers you've got behind you. I've been admiring them the whole time. I think that's superb.
Love it.
But yeah, it's been great. These podcasts are absolutely brilliant. And you're a great host, Harry. You have some great people on here. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Josh, I think we have met before. So yeah, looking forward to the next one. Yeah, and obviously Arsenal get battered everywhere they go. So I'll leave it there.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Travis, that piece has made my day in so many different ways. So thank you very much. And thank you all. And don't forget to check out Travis has and Josh out on all social. Check out their channels, their Twitters, their Instagrams, you name it. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been a long one. I think it's been a good one for sure. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button because it's free to do so. It helps the channel grow. If you like this stream, I'll leave it up to you. Leave it a like, and thank you all for your questions this morning on Twitter and throughout the live stream today. If you're listening on any podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star review. I know lots of you do prefer to listen. And I believe that we're one of the only, I don't want to say the only because I don't know, Tottenham podcast on Spotify where you can actually watch and listen to on Spotify. So you have the option to listen, you have the option to watch on Spotify, you have the option of both. And that will be from tomorrow, the next day. So thank you very much. It's been a fantastic show. If you want to follow me, up to you, HarryScarf22 on Twitter. I don't mind, to be fair, as long as you subscribe to the channel and check out these guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all. As we always say on this channel, though, come on, you Spurs.